All right, guys. So I had a lot of people last week ask me where my review was on the Powerbeats Pro 2. They were released last week, and I'm just going to be honest. I am not one of those people that are on Apple's list to send things out to. And if you're a fan of this channel, you know at this point, I am not an Apple fanboy. I don't just immediately think that everything that they release is the best and the latest and greatest when it comes to tech. And I do think a lot of their stuff is overpriced. But I have also made it clear that I do think since Apple bought Beats, they have done some pretty impressive things with the Beats lineup. They sound so much better than they used to. I think they're more respected, or at least a little more respected in the audio community than what they used to be. They're not these bass heavy products that's all they focus on. They've been tuned pretty well throughout the years recently. So the Powerbeats Pro 2 is the new version, obviously, of the Powerbeats Pro, which came out in 2019. So we're talking about a 6-year gap between the originals and the ones that were just released. And there are some improvements in this one over the originals. These do come in at $249, so they are pretty pricey, especially for what is supposed to be a workout earbud. And I'm also going to talk about why I think it's kind of confusing some of the decisions they've made with these. But let's go ahead and talk about the actual design itself. Now, these are available in 4 different colors. The only color that was available when I went to purchase these was this bright orange, which I did not like at first, but it's definitely grown on me. I actually like these, but they also come in black, they also come in white, and they do have a purple. The case itself, I think it says, is about 30% smaller than the original, and that is definitely needed because the original case was huge. So I do like that they shrank this down, and the case now is a Qi wireless charging case. So you can drop it on any wireless charger and charge it that way, where the original Powerbeats Pro did not do this. Now, the earbuds themselves, they still have the ear hook design. Again, this is made for sports and being active, but the ear hook is not silicone. It's not what I'm used to with some other earbuds in the market that are made for, going to the gym or running or riding your bike and doing all these different things. And I do find these to be a little bit more uncomfortable than those other ones that have the silicone hook. So I really wish they would kind of gravitate towards that. Now, it does kind of keep it all in one place without moving at all. Now, as far as the controls, they do use physical buttons, which I am a huge fan of. There's a volume rocker on the top part of these, but the outside, instead of it using touch controls, you actually press in to use the physical button. And I am happy to say that out of the box, you do get control over everything. So that is a huge plus. And then as far as some of the tech in these, they do use the H2 chip. As far as Bluetooth codecs, they do not have any high-end Bluetooth playback here. It only has AAC and SBC. So that's pretty much like bottom of the barrel when it comes to Bluetooth quality, but I didn't have any kind of compression issues. I didn't have any issues as far as getting distance from the phone that I was using testing these. So it's not an issue, but in this price range, a lot of people are going to start wanting LDAC and aptX adaptive and some of those other Bluetooth codecs that you get in other devices. Now, these do have active noise canceling. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It does support spatial audio with the head tracking. Again, I've said this a million times. I'm just not a huge fan of this feature. I do like that they have it if you're going to be using these for watching movies and TV shows, but I think it just absolutely destroys music. So I don't find myself loving spatial audio with a lot of earbuds anyway. Now, it does have adaptive EQ. Now, you cannot go within their app and kind of tune it the way that you want. There's not different EQ settings that you can switch between. It's just adapting based off the environment that you're in. So if things get louder or things get quieter, or you're running and things like that, it's just trying to balance it out a little bit. It's again not really trying to do anything to bring out one thing over the next, like what a normal EQ is for. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting on these, especially if you're going to use these for the gym and running and things like that, it does have heart rate monitor sensors. I don't really know how accurate this is. I didn't test it. I did see on their site where it says if you're going to have an Apple Watch on, or if you're going to have these on, you probably want to go with what the Apple Watch is saying. So that already makes me think that it's not that accurate. But if this is all that you have on, it's nice that you have this feature just on your earbuds. And it also has the smart sensors where it will pause if you take them out of your ears. It will just resume when you put them back in. And outside of that, again, I did mention the app. I do recommend using this. Now, I use an Android device, so I did have to go in and download the Beats app. This allowed me to keep these earbuds updated. It does have some features like switching between your noise canceling, your transparency, or just turning that off altogether. You can actually even turn the noise canceling on where it's even if you're just wearing one earbud. So a lot of earbuds do not do this. If you're going to use one earbud, it usually just leaves it off altogether, which kind of makes sense. But if you have one in, it can actually use noise canceling if you turn this on. You can also go in and select the mic that you want it to use. Now, I just left mine on auto, but if you want the mic to only be used on the left side, you can select that. I guess like if you're in an environment where you know a lot of noise is on the right side of you and you don't want the mic to even come close to picking that up, you would select maybe the one furthest away. I don't know the benefit to this, but again, this is a feature within the app. You can also go in and tell it if you want the sensors to auto pause and resume when you put them back in. And there's also a Find My Earbuds feature, but you're only able to do this if you're on an Apple device. This is where if you're gonna buy a product like this, you benefit a little bit more when you're already in Apple's ecosystem. And another thing is, as far as being able to use it on multiple devices, this again really only works on Apple devices because of that H2 chip. So anything that you're signed into with your Apple ID, like your phone, or your iPad or your MacBook, it will just auto kind of switch between whatever audio is being played on. But if you're on an Android device, this doesn't have like the normal multi-point feature that we're used to with other earbuds. So do keep that in mind as well. But now let's go ahead and talk about the actual noise canceling on these. Now, the AirPod Pro 2s, I think has excellent noise canceling. That's one thing that I will definitely give them credit for. I think the noise canceling is one of the better ones out there. And with the Powerbeats Pro 2, this falls in line with a complaint that I've had with other Beats product in the past. I think that Apple always kind of holds them back just enough so that they don't compete with the higher end AirPod product that's out at the moment. So the noise canceling on these are good. They're just nowhere near as good as it is on the AirPod Pro 2s. And again, I do think that's on purpose because obviously they have the technology. These are using the same chips. They could have done the mics the exact same way to be able to have these compete with the AirPod Pro 2s, but they chose not to. But the transparency mode, surprisingly, is just as good as the AirPod Pro 2s, which means they were able to make use out of the mics this way, but not when it came to the noise canceling. So do not go into these expecting top tier noise canceling. The AirPod Pro 2s are better, the Sonys are better, the Bose are better. There's just better ones in the market. Now, as far as using these outdoors, again, with this pair being made to be used in the gym and being used in a lot of different scenarios that you're going to be active, I kind of would have liked to have seen a higher IP rating than IPX4. That means you're kind of like bottom of the barrel being protected against rain, splashes, and things like that. But if it's heavy rain or if you're near a pool or the beach, this is just not one of those pairs that you would want to get really wet. And just not that protected against those different scenarios. And then as far as what you get inside the box, they do include 5 sets of silicone ear tips. The ear tips do match the color of the earbuds that you have. You can see that all of mine are orange. It does not come with a charging cable. And if you're an Apple user, you're probably not surprised by this. But the huge plus is, again, the case is a Qi wireless charging case. So you can just drop these on any wireless charger that you already own anyway. So speaking of the charging, when it comes to the battery life on these, I think the battery life is actually really good. If you use these with the noise canceling off, you can squeeze about 10 hours out of the earbuds and about 45 hours using the case. But with the noise canceling on, you can still get about 8 hours on the earbuds themselves. So again, not a huge drop by using the noise canceling on, but if you do happen to pick them up and they are dead, it does have a fast charging feature where a quick 5-minute charge will get you 90 minutes of use. So again, I've said this in other previous videos, I'm a huge fan of fast charging because I'm the worst to make sure that my earbuds are always charged. Now, if you are going to use these for phone calls, this is a spot where I am happy to say that they do compete with the AirPod Pro 2s. The mics on these are solid, and it also does a really good job of just kind of blocking out any external noise. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
All right, guys, so here is a mic test outdoors with the Powerbeats Pro 2. I can hear some birds. I can hear a little bit of wind noise. And really, this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound itself. It's pretty much exactly what you would expect if you've listened to any Beats product in the past few years. If you've listened to the new Beats Pro, if you've listened to the new Beats Solos, it kind of fits that thing where they're trying to prove that they don't have to be extremely bass heavy. Now they do have plenty of punch to them. I'm not saying that they lack when it comes to this, but it is not the muddy mess that Beats used to be. In fact, I would say that the bass on these is a little bit more tame than the original Powerbeats Pro. And when I say tame, it really just means they're tightened up a little bit more. It's a little bit more accurate than the Powerbeats Pro. It's not as sloppy. So the Powerbeats Pro 2 is definitely improvement when it comes to the low end. Same thing with the mids and treble. There's a lot more detail. I think everything is brought out extremely well. I think vocalists, whether it be male or female vocalists, just have this nice, slightly forward approach. Again, it's not over the top. And the treble on these don't hit that point of being harsh. It's definitely not that bright, but everything is accentuated quite a bit, but nothing is just overdone to where it causes ear fatigue. So it doesn't have that really harsh treble that's just something you're gonna have to take a break from, and the bass isn't coming in and just rolling over everything else. I was really impressed with how these were tuned, and I am gonna say this, I think it's a better sounding product than the AirPod Pro 2s. I am gonna say when it comes to the soundstage and the sound imaging, this isn't a very open sounding product at all. I would say it kind of left me feeling like I was in a medium to maybe almost large size room, but luckily I never had an issue with being able to tell where sounds are coming from. So my overall opinion is this. I do wish that these were a little bit more comfortable. I do wish that they were using silicone, something that had a little bit more flex than what goes around your ear. And I do wish that the noise canceling on these was better. I wish that it was more comparable to what the AirPod Pro 2s have, because they have that technology to make that happen. And I don't understand why they wouldn't put it in what would be considered a top tier Beats earbud. But outside of that, I love the smaller case. I love the fact that it's Qi wireless charging. I love the button controls. I do like the slight redesign. It does have a different look compared to the originals, although the ear hooks and all kind of seem the same. Outside of that, I think they've definitely vastly improved the sound over the originals. And the sound, in my opinion, again, I've said this a million times, that's the most important thing if I'm looking at an audio product anyway. So if you are in Apple's ecosystem and you want one of the best sounding earbuds that I feel they offer, this one definitely checks that box. And it definitely checks that box if you're looking for something to use at the gym or use while running or riding a bike. I definitely think it's pricey though in comparison to other things in the market that are aimed at that same demographic. There's going to be products that doesn't have those Apple ecosystem features. But really, it's going to come down to that. And I think if you're in Apple's ecosystem anyway, that's why you're looking at these. But if you're not, there's just so many better options out there at a much lower cost. But you're always kind of expected to pay a little bit more in Apple's ecosystem anyways. But guys, that's my video on the brand new Powerbeats Pro 2s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.